Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vase. Oh man, the last couple of days have been incredibly frustrating. The last couple of days have been incredibly frustrating and also very tiring. Basically, dealing with this hex scam, there's really no other way of saying it. And it really depends on people can think of it what they like, but anyone that is involved in hex, I do want to move on to price. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Anyone that's involved in hex, I'm just going to say one thing. If you're involved in hex, you are in one of two categories. Either you are too stupid to realize it's a scam. You are not too stupid and you realize it's a scam, but you personally like taking advantage of others, and you're going to promote the hex scam in order for you to profit from the ignorance of others. Or you are an outright scammer that is actually involved in creating the hex scam. I don't really care which of the three you are. And unless it's obvious to me which of the three you are, I'm not going to spend too much time figuring it out. So figure out yourself which of the three people you are. If you are publicly speaking positively about hex. Now, if you are silently profiting from hex, I don't care. Like I've silently profited from shitty companies trading on the stock exchange, right? Like I don't care, right? I wasn't out there saying this 3-cent company is better than Google and everyone needs to buy into it just so I can get out at a better price. Okay, that's basically what's happening with anyone that promotes the hex scam. Okay, let's go to screen share and let's deal with more interesting situations. On my website, you do get the latest video. The last video I post on YouTube does come up. Now, YouTube is really screwing up, okay? Man, it looks like I'm still talking about the hex bullshit. I have to repost the video because I don't know what the hell YouTube is doing. Like right now, here's the thing, right? Like right now, if you click on while I'm live streaming the current video, this is the video I posted this morning, and I basically was up till 3 a.m., putting that together. So if you click on the full 7.5-hour video, it still only displays the last 2 hours. But if you look at it on your cell phone, most of the time it displays you the entire 7.5 hours. And if you go to incognito mode, because let me change my screen share, right? Like, if I go to screen share, if I change my screen share, this is always dangerous. If I do my entire screen, right, and now I go here and I go to incognito mode, and I go to youtube.com/tonevase. Should probably check if my audio setting is correct. Yeah, it's correct. Okay. If you go to incognito mode and you click on the 7.5-hour long video, well, you get the ad. I pay YouTube $10 a month. The greatest thing ever. I never see any more ads. When you do that, you get to see Bill Restless, but you get the entire 7.5 hours, right? So it's something screwed up on YouTube's end and caching on people's computers. I have no idea. YouTube is becoming very, very frustrating with the new backend and all this other nonsense. But anyway, like the full video is there. It's just that not everyone gets to see it. So I reposted it. I cut out an hour of the pre-hex stuff for people to watch. Anyway, it sucks that I have to split it into two videos. It sucks that the views are being split. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to close this. You know what? I'm going to change my screen share so I don't dox personal information. And we'll go back to screen share. All right, that's that part. One more announcement. Well, two more announcements. The options, I finally wrote up a description for the options webinar that is taking place next weekend. If you're going to take this options webinar, I advise you to register today, and here's why. Because today, for those that register, I only do this workshop twice a year. So the next time you're gonna see this is in July or August. I did one of these back in July, and I'm going to send it to people that register and pay for the one next week. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. So if you want to watch 14 hours of options workshop, it's the same one I'm going to teach, but at least you get a heads up. You get to do some homework. You get to prepare so you can better understand the stuff that I'm going to teach. So if you are thinking of signing up for this, you really want to, I'm going to tweet this out as well. You want to do it today so that you have at least a week to prepare, because like a bunch of people always sign up the day before and you don't have any time to like prepare and be more ready. Like you only hurt yourself basically. If you're going to do it early, because then you get to benefit more. And the final thing is, of course, Unconfiscatable, which is on sale. I did click on it, right? Nope, I did not. Which is on sale. I'm trying to get a couple of more speakers, but less is more, right? I'd rather have less speakers and give them more stage time than have 93 speakers. Like conferences that have 184 speakers really annoy me, because like no one gets to say anything. There's no time. So I want less speakers, not more, and I want to give them time to speak. All right. Carnivory dinners, poker tournaments, the works. Check out pictures from last year. All right. Let's go to the price. I'm going to do the higher level first because the higher level hasn't really changed. I restarted the computer. Oh, since I have the oscillators up, let's go through the oscillators. The RSI is continuing on a bad path. I should probably put the parallel channel in here. Where's the parallel channel? Should probably, because I draw parallel channels quite often, right? So let's put that in. So the RSI is trending down. Now, I guess it would be very, very good if the RSI actually makes it into the oversold territory, because the last time the RSI made it to the oversold category, was December 10th. And if you recall, December 10th, the week of December 10th, was when Bitcoin bottomed at 3,100. So if the RSI can make it into the oversold territory, that could be the secondary low for Bitcoin if it has one more push down. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So keep an eye on that. Oops. Damn it. Keep doing the same thing. All right. I'm going to delete this channel, but keep it in mind, it's not the best of channels. It's also on a weekly scale. Okay. So the RSI continues to trend down. We just made a new low. The RSI has just made a new low since the high in May, June. And until the RSI makes a new high, right? Like look at the RSI, right? RSI makes a high. We can be exact here, right? What's the high here? Around 79. What's the high here? Around 79. Double top, okay, on the RSI. RSI swings low, makes a double top, makes a lower low, makes a lower high, makes a lower low, makes a lower high, makes a lower low, makes a lower high, makes a lower low on November 18th, but it has not yet made a higher high. Until the RSI makes a higher high, you cannot assume anything, but we are trending down. That's it. You can try and time the bottom the way people tried, but on a long-term scale, it's trending down. You have to wait for the RSI to make a higher high. right here, RSI made a higher high back in March, and Bitcoin continued going up. MACD. The MACD looks horrendous. The MACD right now looks about the same as it did like here back in May, right? So the last time the MACD looked similar to the current situation, it was May 2018. We crossed pretty high up, and now we're about to cross the zero line. So let's go and take a look at the price on May 2018. Back in May 2018, that's what I said, right? We were here. We were consolidating around 6,300, and then we rallied all the way to 8,300. That is a 33% increase in the price of Bitcoin. But what happened later? Well, 5 months later, we were sitting at a 75% lower price, right? So from 8,500 down to 3,100, right? I'll just, I don't want to do the math in my head. Crap, what is that? Still can't tell. Oh, which one is the new one? It's the one I just drew, right? Yeah. Well, where's the price on that? Okay, that's the price. Okay. It's hard to tell. 63%. Okay. So at approximately the same position we were in back in May. That's what I said, May, I believe, right? We ended up swinging lower. We ended up swinging higher. And then at one point, we corrected 63%, right? So I could be cherry picking here. I did say May. So if I take this to May, we fell about 50%. Let's say 50%. Okay. So we still went 50% lower. That I'm comparing the current situation to the last time this occurred, right? So here we go. The May 21st. So we still fell approximately 50% in the price of Bitcoin from a similar level that we were at last time, according to the RSI. Okay. So right now the price is what, 73? 50% of that, takes us to about 5,000. That's where the RSI is. CMF. CMF looks pretty damn ugly. Okay. The last time the CMF was this low, we were in January of this year, but then it swung positive. But the prior time the CMF went into the red for this long, was September of 2014, and the rest of 2014 was horrendous, right? We've been in this CMF position once before, and that time we actually bottomed out, and we consolidated between December 2018 into April, but the price was already going up. Right now, we haven't seen the price go up significantly, not counting the last 24 to 48 hours. But the CMF doesn't go into this area very often, right? And the last time the CMF spent this many days in the red, so let's see how many days that is. Why not? Let me use shift here. Let's do this. This is the long-term view. This is the bird's eye view. Okay. So what do we got here? The CMF has been in the red for 10 weeks. Now, what about here? The CMF was in the red in total for 18 weeks, right? But when did we start going up? We started going up pretty much by January. We were already rising, right? Like the low came in late December. That's already February. So let me see. Right, by December, the low was in, right? So is it possible that the low is in? Sure. But look at the prior time. We don't have too many instances of this, right? The CMF was in the red for 37 weeks. And guess what? Going into the January 2015, this is where we made the low. The low last time occurred right here. That was January. That was the low, January 2015. If I go back to the CMF, there's January 2015. This is June 2015, right? So that's where the low was, but then there was a secondary low in August. So like the price got stuck there. So this is not a good sign that the CMF continues to be in the red. So all these metrics are still bearish. And OBV, I'm not gonna go into. It's not that useful here. So all of your oscillators are still bearish. Now, what about the price action? The price action, you're on a red 3 on a 9 sequential. That is also bearish. Yes, we are off the lows of 6,500, but that doesn't change the fact that you're on a red 3 of 9. Not until this flips to a green 2 above a green 1. You still have several weeks to go. Now, the short-term moving average that I'm using the 21-day for is declining. The other two moving averages are rising. So overall, what does the weekly picture look like? To me, it's leaning bearish, and the oscillators are screaming bearish. The price picture is leaning bearish. The long-term moving averages still look pretty good. Someone is saying your fibs are not on log scale. I agree. Fibs on log scale are dumb. I would never, ever use that. I don't know who the hell taught you how to do fibs. The fact that my price scale is logarithmic has nothing to do with Fibonacci's. A retracement is a retracement, okay? A retracement is a percentage. It's irrelevant how I view my log. The only reason why my chart is in log scale as opposed to not log scale is because I want to be able to read the damn thing, okay? It should not obscure my metric. Guys, if you're going to learn TA from people that, know what they're doing. All right. Let's look at the daily chart. The daily chart, look, I don't know what the hell this was, okay? This is why I would not trade Bitcoin with leverage, right? Like now, I used to trade Bitcoin with leverage, but the only reason I would trade Bitcoin with leverage is to lower my risk of exchange risk. I would never trade Bitcoin with leverage to leverage my actual returns. Like, for example, I used to love trading S&P with leverage through the futures market because I get 50 to 1 leverage. And I did that in order to make more money. When it comes to Bitcoin, the last thing I want to do is trade it with leverage because the market is so volatile. I don't like trading volatile markets with leverage. I like trading stable markets with leverage. The only reason I would even use leverage, is to lower the risk on my exchange. Okay, that's the only reason I would use leverage. Like, I would love, let's say I want to risk 1 Bitcoin on a trade. Normally, I would just risk 1 Bitcoin on a trade without leverage. But because I don't want to risk my entire Bitcoin on an exchange, I'd rather only risk 0.1 Bitcoin on the exchange and leverage that trade 10 to 1. Only for the sole purpose that I don't have a Bitcoin sitting on an exchange. That's not a concern I have for the regulated markets. All right. So getting back to the daily chart. The daily chart remains bearish. Okay. Granted, you had this giant wick and then you went down. We're going to take a look at the lower level time frame, right? But you're overall trending down. you've now spent an unreasonable amount of time below the 200-day moving average. That's not good. This 200-day moving average has just flipped over and started trending down. The other two moving averages I'm using are the 50-day and the 128-day, and they have both been trending down for a while. So until Bitcoin also hasn't given me, I mean, it did give you like a higher high versus this high, but this was a really weird event that I still can't explain because I don't really remember what the hell happened. And the same thing goes for this little minor event. So you need a more substantial high. And for me, that's Bitcoin going above $10,000. Okay. Bitcoin going above $10,000 for me would kick off a true bull market. I did not consider this move to 14,000 a clean true bull market because I felt the bear market was too short and people didn't feel the pain. Right now, people still haven't really felt the pain, which is why I'm still anticipating lower lows. This posture remains bearish the way it is on a weekly chart. So we have to wait. Let's look at the oscillators because I'm curious. Let's look at the RSI. The RSI actually did hit bottom in November, but it's got a long way to go. So the RSI is actually looking somewhat bullish right now. The MACD is also looking pretty bullish, right? So your MACD and RSI are looking good. What about your CMF? Your CMF is looking good. So on a daily scale, these three metrics are looking good. I'm going to close that. Now, what about the BitMEX funding rate? Well, the BitMEX funding rate, I have two versions of it. They're both currently, well, this one is kind of flip-flopping back and forth. And this one is favoring the bulls, okay? A little bit, not by much, okay? So people are still pretty bearish here. So the BitMEX funding rate is slightly, ever so slightly favoring the bulls. So your oscillators, or at least my oscillators, are favoring the bullish case. The sequential is still favoring the bearish case, but tomorrow that will be a green one if we don't go down for the next 12 hours. So you are looking at a potential flip on the sequential. It's possible this is the low. It's possible. I don't have enough evidence to claim that yet. And until I have the evidence to assume this is the low of the second half of 2019, I'm going to continue to assume that a lower low is coming until I have enough evidence to assume that it's not. Lower level time frame. This is the 12-hour chart. Oscillators look good. Oscillators look pretty bullish here. And what about the price chart? Well, the price chart tops right before the 9. The price rebounds right before the 9. So the 12-hour chart has been pretty good. I still need a higher high. Remember, look at my arrows here, right? I'm still looking for lower lows, whether it has already started or we can still go up to the $8,000 zone. I'm still looking for lower lows. Guys, the sooner Bitcoin actually bottoms out, the sooner we can start the bull market. This shit can drag on for 2 more years. And if you don't think it can, you're the one that's going to get wrecked, not me. People are overly concerned what I do with my money. Worry about what you're doing with your money. Stop worrying about what I do with my money. The 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart isn't doing anything interesting. Yes, this was a huge spike candle. According to my trading metrics, it happened out of nowhere, but it didn't get you anywhere, right? Sure, you went up to 7,777, but it did not even break the high of November 29th. It didn't even break last week's high. If I go back to the weekly chart, I mean, it looks cool, but you did not even break last week's high. So who cares if this happened in 3 days or 3 seconds, right? on a longer term scale, look at it on a weekly scale. It's irrelevant that the move from down here to up there, or it didn't really happen from down there, but it's irrelevant if the move from the very bottom of this candle to the very top of this candle took 3 seconds. It did not even break last week's high. And right now, you're still on a red weekly candle. So as pissed off as people are that their shorts got wrecked, well, A, you don't have to short. B, you don't have to short with leverage. And C, you don't have to trade Bitcoin. There's other assets around the world, right? So if you are scared that your asset can move 5% in a single minute, maybe that's not the asset you should be trading, or cut back on your leverage. Remember the last time I made a big trade, remember what happened? Oh, what am I doing? The last time I made a big trade, it was the worst timing in trading history. You know, I shorted Bitcoin right here, right at the low, and the next day Tether implodes, and the price of Bitcoin goes up, what, 10% or something, right? But my stop loss was 20%. So everyone thought I got wrecked, but I was prepared for me being wrong up to 20% on that trade. Okay? That was my stop loss because that was a low leverage trade. Okay? It was a low leverage trade. So a 10% move against me did not hurt my trade. I was patient and down we went. So you have to understand your risks. If you don't know how to calculate those risks, I have webinars on tonebase.com. You can find them somewhere right here. Products and services on-demand videos. If you don't know how to properly manage your risk, you want to watch risk, position size, and leverage management, and also entries, exits, and stop losses. These are the 2 videos you want to buy and learn how to properly manage your risk. Ugly Old Goat said something. I was on the phone with him the other day. He said something awesome in our phone conversation. He says, this stuff, managing risk, is the easiest thing to learn and the hardest thing to implement mentally. Meanwhile, technical analysis is the hardest thing to learn, but apparently so easy to implement. Everyone's an expert. All right, let's move on. Short-term chart, 4 hours. Nothing. There's nothing here. It's consolidating. Nothing has changed. Below this red line, shit's going to hit the fan. And I did not move this red line. It was always drawn from the bottom of the body of this 9 candle. And look what happened right here on December 4th. We perfectly bounced off that line. I didn't move the line. And then we bounced off of it again, you know, yesterday after the pump and the dump, and now we're rising again. Can this lead to the bull market? Of course it can. Do I think it will? Of course I don't. GBTC is coming back down. That's interesting. And I will keep an eye on that because I think it's time for me to watch GBTC carefully because I do want to put my retirement money. I do want to have a position in my retirement accounts in Bitcoin. And I currently don't because I think it's going lower. I think that Bitcoin dominance will go significantly higher. I think mining is still doing okay, and it is. Mining profits, I believe, will hit this orange line. That means we either gotta come down to 3,000 before the halving or 6,000 after the halving. I hear Ripple is the worst performing shitcoin of the year. from like the top 20 or top 10 or whatever. And it is. Binance, I've been waiting for Binance to go below 0, but it's still outperforming. Oh, wait, maybe it's not. Hold on. Yep, no, it's still outperforming Bitcoin. Okay. Ethereum, I've been keeping an eye on Ethereum only because of the stupid hex scam. Ethereum, it's gonna... Eventually, the metrics are gonna catch up to Ethereum and it will trend towards 0. The dollar version of Ethereum is hanging in there, 148. Once Ethereum drops below this low, it is in serious trouble. Below this line, Ethereum is in a lot of trouble. Now, this is Ethereum in dollars. Ethereum and Bitcoin, well, same thing, right? I can draw a line around these lows. Same shit. Same shit, different shit, different coin. Draw a line here. Lower it slightly. Below this line, put a fork in Ethereum. You know? Gold. I mean, the stock market dropped a bit, so gold should have been the beneficiary. Do I think it amounts to something serious? Not really. I still think this triangle will take gold down. Oil, it's not interesting. It hasn't been interesting all year. Well, yeah, it hasn't really been interesting. S&P 500. Everyone yelled the sky is falling with zero hedge leading the charge. I see these zero hedge articles that are insane. Stop reading zero hedge. There's nothing good there other than economic numbers. Don't read their opinions and don't read their headlines. If there's some kind of facts there, great. Read the facts, make your own interpretations. Don't let zero hedge interpret the markets for you. Okay? Stock market is going back up. You know? So there was a two-day drop. Big whoop-de-doo, big deal. Okay? Here. S&P went down 2.7%. Okay? Now, we warned you, hey, there was a 9 here, there was a sequential 13 here, there was a combo 13 here. I played a video by Tom DeMark saying the markets are toppy. I said you may want to be in cash, you may not want to be in the stocks here because of the daily chart, but the weekly chart still looked bullish. Still on a 7 of 9, all the moving averages are rising. If you're a long-term investor in the stock market, there's nothing to be concerned about yet. You know, we could be at 4,000 by the time Trump is getting reelected. Everything is bullish here, especially with this shadow. If going into the weekend, this shadow is longer than this body, that's I would be very comfortable holding my retirement account in the S&P going into the weekend. Can it crash 40% on Monday morning? Of course it can, right? But I would be comfortable. The moment I see this shadow longer than the body, I'm comfortable. Look at the last time a shadow was longer than the body, right here. Here, I'll even do this for you. There. The last time a shadow of the S&P 500 was larger than the body at the bottom. Look what happened next. How high did we go after that? Off the close. You went 6% up in a few months. All right. And look at the candle before, even bigger shadow relative to the body. What do you think happens if the shadow is longer than the body? All right. I don't really want to take a look at too many stocks. Amazon is exactly interesting, but I do want to take a look at a couple of stocks from a notification service that I found very, very interesting. Hey guys, if your video is blurry, that's not on my end, that's on your end. You want to on YouTube, because people are saying go to this wheel and change it to 720 because I do have an HD camera. So if the video is blurry, that's a setting on your end, not my end. Someone is asking, what happened to your Bitcoin $200,000 bet? Nobody took me on that bet. All right, let's move on. I saw this in the notification service. I didn't comment on it because I actually just saw it. This came in a few days ago. What a beautiful reversal. This is Adobe. You know, you had a 9 here and here and now there. Okay. So we can go and take a look at Adobe. I think I pulled it up. And look at this. You got beautiful 913, got a 9, and you got a 9 here. Okay. By the way, I'm testing new code. I'm testing new code here. We're gonna. There's actually still some bugs we got to work out. Beautiful 913 right at the high, and we're pulling back. Okay. The secondary 9 in a row didn't do anything. This third 9 in a row did something with the 13 right next to it. Also want to point your attention to another IPO that came out. This is Canaan. This is this is Canaan miners. This is Bitcoin miners. Once again, what are my rules for IPOs? I don't get involved in IPOs until they've lost 50% of their opening IPO price or the high of that price, right? So Canaan lost 43%. I like Canaan. The miner that I have is a Canaan miner. But as an investor, as a trader, I should say, not investor, I want my IPOs to come at a 50% discount, which Canaan is close to making, just like Uber and Lyft did. Speaking of Uber and Lyft, I'm curious. Are you curious? I'm curious. Here's Lyft. Oh, beautiful. Oh my God, I did not even know that. I did not even know Lyft topped on a Doji 9. Holy shit. I'm pretty sure that was in the notification service. Oh, I got some questions. All right. Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for pointing me to questions. I'll review those in a second. I'm gonna go to the alerts. And when was this? This was, by the way, to get the alerts, it's free. The link is in the video description. It's free for now. November 27th, right before Thanksgiving. There's a lot of alerts. Once it goes to a paid model, you're going to choose what you want to be alert on. Okay, I found 27. Let me see if Lyft was in the alert section. I hope it was. Oh, man. Did we not alert on Lyft? We should have. That sucks. Man, I guess Lyft's not on the list because it's a new IPO. That's unfortunate. Would have been nice to alert on Lyft. I wasn't paying attention, unfortunately. But if you trade Lyft, you should have been paying attention. Yeah, too bad. I really wanted to point out, but like once the alert service is up and running, then you choose the assets, right? And we would definitely have lift. I mean, I would be paying attention to it. Beautiful 9 doji reversal right there. I'm not really sure why that didn't get notified. Unless I'm using new code and there's a bug. Yeah, 1, 2. No, it's right. Yeah, that was the price flip. A beautiful reversal, and that's a good trade. Right off the 9. I did not even know that. Uber, how about Uber? Uber also had a 9. Oh, I think I did talk about this. I said that the Uber 9 didn't scare me because of the way the 9 looked, but the Lyft 9 scared me because of the way it looked. I remember this video now. Go back to the Thanksgiving videos. Man, that was a good exit on the Lyft. I still think Lyft bottomed, and I think it's going to go higher, but that's just an opinion. You got to be wise with your trading. All right, let's look at some Q&A, and then I'm going to have to get going. Is there a legitimate quantum computing Bitcoin threat with Apple, Google racing to innovation? Guys, do I look like a quantum expert? And I try to ask these questions to Bitcoin core developers, and if they're not concerned, I am not concerned. Everyone seems to be concerned about quantum computers stealing their Bitcoin, but no one seems to be concerned about quantum computers, I don't know, destroying a nuclear power plant. Go ask some nuclear engineers, are quantum computers a threat to nuclear power plants? And get their answers, because the answer is going to be very similar to if they're if the threat is real for Bitcoin. How does Bitcoin, how does BTC perform during an equity bear market? How I don't know. We haven't had an equity bear market in 11 years, right? And Bitcoin is 10 years old. I don't know. Nobody knows. What's the current correlation? We don't know. We haven't had a frame of reference. And when we have a frame of reference, we will have one data point. We don't know, guys. Any update from Venzen? No, there is no update from Venzen. I have not spoken to him. Even from before we did those videos explaining the problem. Venzen is welcome to message me once he has repaid all of the people that he lost money to. Until then, I'm not interested. Tone, I have evidence that Richard Hart used the proceeds from the hack sale to purchase 11 to 13 Krispy Kreme donuts. Nice. Cool. Yeah, DM me the evidence. Next. Tone, is there one dApp that is not useless? No, not that I have seen. I have not seen a useful dApp because I don't believe that there is such a thing as a dApp. Do you see a potential of any future dApps? I don't believe that a dApp can actually exist that will actually solve a real world problem. No, because it's not going to be a dApp. I have not seen any dApps. Okay, the people that create centralized programs will tell you that they're dApps, but they're centralized programs. If they do have an element of decentralization, it is built on top of a centralized platform like Ethereum or EOS or anything else, right? So for starters, if you're going to talk to me about a dApp, the conversation has to begin, is it on the Liquid sidechain? If the answer is no, then you are building some garbage on top of a centralized garbage, okay? So any conversation about a dApp has to begin with, are you building it on the only decentralized platform we have, which is Bitcoin? Unfortunately, you can't build on top of Bitcoin, so your best solution is to build on top of a side chain of Bitcoin known as Liquid, okay? So if your dApp, or if your dApp, let me use quotes here, if your dApp isn't built on Liquid, it is garbage. By default, it's garbage by default. It has no use case. It has no future by default. All conversations begin, did you build it on Liquid? If you build it on Liquid, you have started your path to building a dApp on some form of decentralization. That is baby step one. Now the discussion is going to be, A, is your app actually decentralized? And B, is your app actually useful to the world? And so far, I have not seen either of these things happen. I have not seen a single dApp that I consider decentralized, even if it was built on Liquid. And I have still not seen any dApp convince me that its utility is useful as a dApp. Okay, a few have come close. Okay, so no, I haven't seen anything of usefulness yet. But remember, my ability to spot something useful is not a good metric. Okay, there is going to be 85,000 projects that are dApps, and 1 to 3 of them might actually succeed. I have absolutely no idea which 3 out of 100,000 they're going to be. But so far, anyone that tried to describe their dApp to me, I almost have to prevent myself from laughing in their face because it makes absolutely no sense. Technologically, theoretically, and practically. Next. Comment on GBTC Premium. It's hard. It's had some wild moves lately. Sure. I'm watching the GBTC Premium. Here's the latest premium. It's 23%. And I would love to see that come down below 10% for me to get really interested in that metric. A panel of senior financial regulators in the United States has warned the public about the purported risk of stablecoins and cryptocurrencies. Is this all bullcrap? No, of course not. There's a huge risk. There's nothing but risk in stablecoins. There's nothing but risk. Look at Tether. Okay, there's nothing but risk. The dollars underlying Tether are at risk of confiscation by the jurisdiction in which those dollars reside. The fact that they're dollars, they're at risk of confiscation by the government body that creates dollars. So even if you have dollars in some foreign account, the fact that they're dollars could potentially give the US jurisdiction over those dollars, okay? Because they're dollars. Potentially, okay? Now, there's technological risk in your stablecoin, okay? Tether started out on Omni, then most of the volume was done as an ERC20 on Ethereum, and now it has moved over to the Liquid sidechain. Now, do I think it's better as a Liquid being on a Liquid sidechain? Of course, because unlike Ethereum and unlike Omni, the Bitcoin Liquid sidechain, I believe, is actually decentralized. I believe the other two are centralized. Now, just because Tether is now functioning on top of Liquid, have you removed the technological risk? Of course not. The Liquid sidechain could be proven to be a failure. It could fall apart. The smart contracts or the programming done on top of the Liquid sidechain for Tether could have a major bug in it. So there are huge technological risks on top of the regulatory risk of something like Tether. Now, if you think of something stupid like MakerDAO, now you have a centralized company making MakerDAO on top of a centralized company known as Ethereum, and somehow that is supposed to create a decentralized stablecoin, which is ridiculous. Okay, so there's really nothing but risks in these stablecoins. Now, Are those risks worth it? Well, they're pretty worth it to most people because without the stable coins, they may not be able to trade crypto. So they're willing to take these risks. Will any of these risks ever come to fruition and wreck the market? We don't know, not yet. I mean, Tether, no matter what happens to Tether, doesn't seem to budge. One Tether is still $1. Tether announces that we're only 75% backed by dollars. Nobody cares, right? What if Tether announces tomorrow that they have spent that 75% on, Lambos, and now Tether is not backed at all by dollars? Will the market care? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the market's not going to care, right? The market clearly doesn't care that the US dollar is not backed by gold. Why would the market care that Tether is no longer backed by dollars? Who cares, right? If it works, it works. But the risks are there. Whether the market, one day there is a panic, like nothing has changed, right? Like look at the stock market. Look at the stock market. Look at these 2 days. In these 2 days, the stock market fell 2.8%. Has anything changed? Has Apple stopped selling iPhones? What's changed? Nothing, right? It's all perception, right? Let's look at Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. On this day, a few hours ago, right? Today's already said yesterday, right? The price of Bitcoin was 7,100. An hour later, it's up 10%. Has anything fundamentally changed in Bitcoin? Of course not, right? So one day your stable coin's stable, the next day your stable coin's worthless because the risks have either been realized or people just panicked. There's lots of risk in stable coins. I tell you what, though, 1 Bitcoin will still equal 1 Bitcoin tomorrow. It's what Richard Hart says about hex. Well, 1 hex equals 1 hex. I can always print more hex. Right. But hex is trash, right? 1 monopoly dollar is always going to equal 1 monopoly dollar, right? Doesn't mean anyone cares that that monopoly dollar has value other than the paper it was printed on, right? Risks get realized. The question is, where do you want your money? Microsoft announces token collectibles on Ethereum blockchain. Any comment? Did you see the story? I have not seen the story, but I'm trying to do the next Bitcoin morning brief with Giacomo Zucco, and this sounds like a good story for us to discuss. Sounds like people at Microsoft don't understand what a blockchain is, or what Ethereum is, or the fact that Ethereum is an unscalable centralized mess. And what happens, Microsoft as a company will eventually realize the stupidity and they'll stop. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. What's the latest on Samson Lop Fluffy scam coin? Nothing. We're waiting for the SEC, right? So INX, SEC filing. Oh, maybe I have that up. I have it. Is this it? Oh, yeah, I got it. It's right here. I have it up. I have it permanently up. Okay. I don't know until I'm waiting. I mean, the block, I'm sure, is keeping an eye on this. I'm waiting for this. Okay. So just to refresh people's memory, I have 2 problems with this, right? So one problem is ERC. My first problem is ERC20. Let's narrow this search down. Okay. Here's my first problem. During the offering, we'll offer for sale INX token in fractional divisions up to 5 decimal places. Yeah. Sales would be otherwise result in financial. INX tokens may be purchased and sold in fractional division. Okay. Which is the technical limit for ERC20 compliant tokens, right? So this is the first mention of ERC20 as a footnote here. INX tokens, or our token referred to INX tokens, an ERC20 blockchain asset that is programmed using a smart contract. So my first problem with this token is the fact that it's an ERC20 token. Now, I'm sure that at the time that they filed this with the SEC, Liquid was not there, and had Liquid been available, all this paperwork would have said we are launching this token on Liquid. What am I expecting? I'm expecting that once this is approved or denied, if it's denied, it's over. If maybe, who knows, they can refile, whatever. If this is approved, I am pretty sure there will be an amendment with the SEC that says we now have a more stable, more secure blockchain to launch this token on. I don't actually expect this token to launch on Ethereum. I'm expecting this token to launch on Liquid. That is my expectation. I don't know what these people are thinking because they cannot talk about the issue. They cannot talk about the issue because they are waiting for SEC's statement, right? So there's nothing we can do. So that's my problem number one. My problem number two is the following. That would be utility. This is my problem number two. It appears several times. Let's look at the first time. Okay. Because distributions of the INX token holders are dependent on our cash flow, our failure to develop the INX trading solution platform, I'm not really sure where that's going. Here. Okay. Where did they talk about utility? It's somewhere here. It's a long document, guys. I mean, I read most of it and I didn't like it. Somewhere in here, it talks about the INX token being used as a utility token, exactly the way the Binance token is used as a utility token to pay for fees. Oh, maybe I should search on fees. Oh, here it is. Found it. Found it. Further, our oh, wow. There's 150 mentions of fees. Use of the INX token on the INX trading platform. This is my problem, right? I give Binance shit about this, so I have to give INX shit about this, okay? When used as payment transaction fees, right? This is my problem. If INX is being created as a security, filing with the SEC, why the hell is this security being used as a utility token to pay for exchanges transaction fees? I believe if this is accepted, then the people at the SEC deserve to be fired. This is ridiculous. And Binance should be taken down for this. And because Binance is not, and because the regulators are not doing anything about this with Binance, other exchanges are following suit, right? So this to me is a problem. This to me is a scammy use case of a token. That's all. So this is my second problem with the INX. All right. Any other questions? I think I got to go. That's it. We're going to leave it there. All right. All right, guys. That's it. That's it for me. Go watch the insane 8-hour stream. I had to repost the video because in incognito mode it works the entire 7.5 hours, but in regular mode it doesn't. Like, I don't know, it's a caching problem, it's a YouTube problem, I have no idea, right? But yeah, you can check that out. Don't forget Unconfiscatable, going down in Vegas, the options webinar. If you're gonna register for it today or tomorrow, because I'm gonna give you a bunch of prep stuff. You don't have to watch it, but you would get a lot more out of the options webinar, which I only do twice a year. Only do it twice a year. All right, guys. So that's it for me. And I will talk to you all on the next one.